but today's training is going to be focused on your role here as an agent within SkySlope. And we will be covering quite a few features, a new workflow, obviously a new platform. And I do not expect for you to leave this training being an expert in everything here at SkySlope. If there is one thing that I do want you to leave with, it is to always feel the support of our support team. Our support team is working around the clock here for you, and you have a few different ways to go ahead and communicate with them. If you want to pick up the phone, you can expect for them to answer by the second ring. If you want more of an instant chat correspondence, you can expect a response to that within 10 seconds. And then lastly, we offer an email component. Maybe you have a list of questions, some screenshots, and you can expect a response to that within 20 minutes. Now, the one thing that I also like to emphasize on is the ability to ask for screen shares. Screen shares are one of my favorite ways to teach. It's also one of my favorite ways to learn. If you find yourself, maybe stuck in a workflow or on something, you can contact the support team and ask for them to hop on a screen share. That way you feel comfortable and confident in exactly what you are doing. Now, the steps that we're going to walk through here today for our agent workflow is step 1, creating forms. Step 2, executing those forms using our digital signature tool. In step 3, turning in those executed forms by creating a property file. So let's go ahead and hop on over to the platform. I'm not sure if you guys have had a chance to play around in the system. If you guys want to give me a thumbs up that you've had exposure, that a hand raise. All right, so when you log into your SkySlope account, this is going to be the page that you are brought to each and every single time that you log into SkySlope. This is what we call SkySlope Suite. This is the main page you're brought to when you go in and you log into your SkySlope account. We are in my demo, so here in the upper left-hand corner, the SkySlope logo will be replaced with your brokerage's logo. And that logo also acts as a home button. So anywhere you are within SkySlope Suite, all you need to do is select on that SkySlope or on your brokerage logo, and it will always revert you right back here to your main page. Now, under that, you'll have a search bar here. You can search for a property address, a name, and then underneath that is a toolbar that is reflecting scheduled close, active, pending, closed, expired escrows, and expired listings. Now, at any point, if you need maybe additional resources on a workflow, maybe you need additional resources on a feature, you can select this help icon here in the upper right-hand corner. And when you select on that, it will take you on over to our support page. And you'll be able to see popular topics being asked and browsing by tutorials. And you can search for any keyword. So let's just say agent. You're going to see when I type in agent, you have getting started for agents, insider hack, sharing files. You have every resource that you need to really become successful users here within SkySlope. So I really encourage you as you begin getting acclimated into your account to really take advantage of this here. Now, if you do want to correspond with our support team via chat, you will find the instant chat on the support page in the lower right-hand corner. When you select on that icon, you will just enter in the information that you see here and then select Start Chat. Now, back on SkySlope Suite, we are officially ready to start our demonstration here as the agent. Your first step when you're ready to start your file creation is always to begin within SkySlope Forms. Now, a little breakdown of SkySlope. Everything is integrated here within one platform. So maybe rather than how you're currently doing it, hopping into different platforms and downloading forms, uploading forms, everything is integrated into one platform, ultimately to make that experience a more efficient and seamless experience. So our first step, we log into SkySlope. Our second step, we're ready to go ahead and start our file creation. We're going to select that apps icon here in the upper right-hand corner. And we're going to go ahead and toggle down to forms. Now, SkySlope Forms is going to house your association forms as well as any broker-specific forms documents that your office managers have uploaded in the onboarding process. The first time that you log into SkySlope Forms, you're going to have two different areas to set up. First one is going to be your user profile. When you are setting up your user profile, it's going to ask for your professional information as well as your professional information. The more information that you put into this section, the more information that will automatically populate when you're executing those association and broker-specific forms. One of the most important things is to indicate the regions that you work within. If you're working within different states, we really encourage you to break that down because that's going to then grant your visibility to forms that are within that region. Once you set up your user settings, we then want you to go in and connect your association libraries. So here in my demo, you're going to be able to see all of my association libraries that are already connected here. But let's say we were going to add another one. All you would do is search for that association library. As long as we have it, you would just select on that, enter your last name and your NERDs. And then moving forward, that would be connected here in the association libraries. Now, once setup is done, we are officially ready to start our file creation. So that first step is going to be to select on the Create button here. And it will ask for you to enter in some information. So who is your client? For this demonstration, we will be entering in as a seller. And then we'll go ahead and enter in our client's name. And then is there a property yet? So I already have a property here. I'm going to go ahead and input that in. How would you like to name your file? So how you name your file is how you locate your file. That forms page that we were brought to when we toggled on over to forms, this is how it will be saved on that main page. Personal preference of mine, I like to keep it with the property address, but you can customize it if you would like, or you can toggle on to the primary client. Now, next, would you like to start with one of your templates? Your admin team has gone in and they have created these brokerage templates. You also have the ability to create your own templates. And the benefit of having templates is rather than grabbing the documents individually each and every time that you're coming in and you're creating a forms file, you can proactively create these and connect them. So we're just going to select one here and then we'll select create. Now, when we do that, it pulls over the documents that live within that template. And our next step is going to be to start executing these. So as I mentioned, it grabbed those documents from the template. But let's say we need to add in some additional association forms. You can do so even once you grab a template just by selecting Add Forms. When you select on Add Forms, it's going to take you on over to your association libraries and allow for you to add in any additional association or broker-specific forms. If you have maybe a piece of marketing material, maybe a PDF that's on your desktop, you can upload a PDF by selecting on Upload Documents and have that here with these forms that you see here. Now, once you're ready to start getting these ready to send to your client, you can select all and it will select every single document here. Or for time purposes, we're just going to select this first one. Well, you'll see when I select it on the form, automatically brought up this pop-up in the lower right-hand corner. And all we need to do is select Fill and Send. Now, you'll see here that these are mapped and fillable exactly how they would be in your association. And you'll also see here, it's pulling over that professional and personal information that I walked through when we initially toggled on over to forms. Again, this is just reducing any manual work that we can, and all that information will automatically populate into those fields. Now, the next step is going to be to select Prepare Signature and then envelope name here. I like to detail out what is in my envelope, and I will show you why this is why I enjoy this when we get to that part. But I like to indicate if there's only one form or multiple forms, just a summary of what lives within the envelope. And then underneath that are the recipients. So Julia, our seller, I want her to sign. I'm executing this. So whenever you're executing the association forms, your name will automatically populate here. If you don't need to sign, you can just update that to receives a copy though. Now, our next and final step is going to be to walk through our integrated digital signature tool. This is called DigiSign, and DigiSign is integrated in SkySlope. So again, every feature that you are going to be using here in SkySlope is all integrated into one platform, making a more seamless and again, efficient experience. Now, those association forms, as you see here, are already mapped and fillable, of course, dependent on the representation. And then if you need to add in maybe an initial or an additional toolbar item, you have the ability to do that from the toolbar items that you see here. If you needed to edit the recipients, you could always do that by selecting these three dots here and adding in or editing a current recipient. Now, once you're ready, we're officially ready to send this out. All you'll need to do is select the send button here, and it's going to ask for you to input in the subject line. This is how your client will receive it. And then again, I just like to put that property specific email because when you received the signed document back as an agent, you're already going to know what document this belongs to. So we'll select send for signatures, and then you'll see your envelope has been sent. So we've toggled from forms and now we're on envelopes. The more association forms, the more broker specific forms that you might individually be sending out, the more envelopes you're going to have underneath the envelopes column here, which is why I like to detail out what is in that envelope, because rather than hopping on in and seeing, okay, this is the document in here. And then if you have multiple different envelopes here, you might have to hop into a few. I find it quicker to just detail out what is currently in that envelope. Any questions on that before we hop on into what your client will see? Okay, then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to transition to the agent and we're going to transition over to what your client will view. So we'll hop on in to the email, and then your client will see, obviously your name will replace mine, but they'll be able to see an email. Shantae has requested your signature, and then you can always include a nice detailed message. All they need to do is select this get started hyperlink, and it will take them on over to the documents that you sent out again through DigiSign. Anytime that they hop on in here, it will ask for them to accept these signature terms just to make sure that they know their signature is being requested. And then they can go through, read everything that this document contains. But once they're ready, all they need to do is select on that start button, and it's going to walk them through each required field. So all they need to do is select the custom signature and initial, and then it will walk them through each required field. Now, the nice thing is your client knows that they can't select finish signing. You'll see it's grayed out here until they've submitted all required fields. And it also lets you know as the agent that they could not select finish signing until they got all of those completed. So you know, once you return back on over to SkySlope Forms, you won't see that status updated to completed until all completed fields are there. Now, every envelope that you send here, you'll have 3 dots for each envelope underneath this envelopes tab. From those 3 dots, you can download the envelope, you can print, and one of my favorites is view history. So SkySlope started out for compliance, and we want to put the compliance into every single feature that we possibly can. And we know how important those activity logs can be. So you'll be able to see for every single envelope when it was created, when it was sent, when it was viewed, and when it was signed. Now, what we've done is we've created our forms file, and that will be the first step in any file creation. Now what we're going to do is loop this into a property file. So again, we've created a forms file. The purpose of the forms file is to store the association as well as the broker specific forms that you might be executing over to your client. But the next step is going to be to toggle back on over to SkySlope Suite. Again, same exact platform, just two different sides of the platform. But now our next step is dependent on who we were representing on that forms file. If we would have been representing a buyer, we would go into create new transaction. However, because Julia was a seller, we're going to go ahead and select on create new listing. Now here, this is going to show you the checklist that you have in your account. And then here, we are just going to select on into that search bar. And I want to just pull where we left off on that forms file. So we're not going to be manually entering in anything brand new when we go in to either create a listing or a transaction file. We're just picking up that forms file. Here's that one we just created. And we're just picking up where we left off. So again, this just furthermore shows the benefit of having everything integrated into one platform is you're not having to hop on into different platforms. It's integrating the requested information. Now here, we're just entering in a little bit more information, but what you're going to see is we've quickly created that listing file. And in now our listing file, we have the different tabs here up at the top. The listing tab is going to store all information that is affiliated with this listing file. We have our contacts tab, any contact affiliated with this file. And then the most frequently used tab is going to be the checklist tab. This is where you're going to come as the agent. You're going to be able to see underneath the status column what's required, what's if applicable, pertaining to this specific checklist. Now, any questions so far? All right, then. So now what we're going to do is a few different ways to get items attached to a checklist. Obviously, you see this attach button here. When you select attach, it will allow for you to search your desktop. You can select from your documents tab, or you can drag an icon directly from your desktop into one of the required fields here. However, one of my favorite features here with SkySlope is the property specific email. So you'll see here this email address. Any listing file you create, any transaction file you create will automatically populate an email. This email you can use and you can CC it in your correspondence to your client. So what you can do, I'm going to copy this email address. Again, this is specific to this file that we just created. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to reference an email from Julia earlier this week. And I want this listing packet to live within that file that we just created. So I'm going to go ahead, give me one moment so I can mute everybody.
And figured out where efficiencies can be made.
So what I'm doing is I'm forwarding this listing packet to that property specific email. What we're not having to do is download the file, get into a platform to upload it, and then attach it to a checklist. Again, SkySlope wants to take out as much manual work as we possibly can. We want for your workflow to be a lot more efficient and a lot more seamless. Now, navigating back on over to SkySlope, as I mentioned, anything sent to that email is going to be stored within the documents tab here. So let's toggle on over to documents and you'll see that listing packet we just sent from Julia's email is already here waiting for us. Below that, you will also see the association form that we originally sent out is also here waiting for us. Again, just furthermore proving the benefit of having everything integrated into one platform. Brief pause just to see if any questions came up in regards to that property specific email. Okay, then. So from one great feature to another great feature, I want you to think of those packets, the large packets that you might be receiving. And maybe currently you're printing them out, you're separating them as intended, and then you're uploading them to the checklist. You have the ability to split apart those large packets directly here within SkySlope. So we're going to reference that packet that Julia sent us. We're going to select on that empty box here on the left-hand side, and then we're going to select split. Now, when we select split, there is an AI component to this. And the more times that you split apart these documents, the more that this system is going to start to learn that packet. But we're going to clear this for now, and we're just manually going to do it. And when I select on new document name in the search, it is pulling the documents from the checklist. So here I'm going to go ahead and say, I know my agency agreement starts from page 1 to 4. So what this is then doing is it's separating the packet. So it's doing agency agreement 1 to 4. We could add another row. We could do the listing agreement 5 to 9, and so on. Now, the next step is maybe you're not ready to assign these to the checklist. You're just ready to split it. You could select split and it would just store those documents splitted, how you split them apart in the documents tab. However, what we're going to do is we're ready to split. So we're going to save these documents as we have split them out, but we're also going to assign them to the checklist. So we'll select split and assign. And you'll see 2 documents were split and 2 were attached to your checklist. So all we need to do is select go to checklist, and you'll see those once required statuses are now reflecting in review. That in review status is indicating that your job as the agent for these specific documents are done. They've been sent to your office managers to either approve or deny. Now, anytime your team goes in and either approves or denies a document, it will then generate an email to you. So I want to show you what that email will look like. Toggling back on over to our email inbox, we're going to reference this checklist update that broker Bob sent me. And I'm going to select on in here. Anytime that the checklist is updated, this is what the email will look like. Checklist has been updated. Hyperlinked here is the property address that this checklist belongs to. And then you'll see a bird's eye view of the checklist here. Now, from a quick glance, we can see the listing agreement has been marked as completed. Still need to get in a copy of the MLS printout because this is required. Now, anytime your team has denied a document, it will be updated to an incomplete status. Whenever they deny a document, they also have the ability to detail out why they denied it, which then means that when you receive this, you can see, okay, well, it looks like it's because I'm missing a signature from page 2. And then you just need to go back to your checklist here, get that missing signature completed, and resubmit that to your team. Let's say that you accidentally upload something before you needed to. No worries. You just need to go ahead and select on that X here to remove that item from the checklist, and it will always revert it back to its original status. Now, let's say we have an interested buyer. We're ready to convert this current listing into a transaction. All you would need to do is select accepted contract here in blue, and it will say convert this to an accepted contract, and it would then take this into a transaction. We're going to go ahead and navigate on over to transactions so you can see what that looks like. We've covered creating a new file. The more listings that you have, the quicker you could hop on into view listings to view all of those listings. But what we're going to do is navigate on into view transactions. And we're going to go ahead and just hop on into one of the transactions that I have here just to give you an idea of what a transaction file looks like. Pretty similar to the listing file. Instead of a listing tab, you will have a transaction tab. Same exact contacts tab. However, the only new tab that will be in a transaction file is the commission tab. This is where you're going to be able to see the sales price as well as any commission. Now, that infamous checklist tab is going to look slightly different because in a transaction, you're going to be able to see the sales documentation checklist. So keep in mind, when you create a listing, you can pull one checklist that pertains to the listing side. If that listing is converted into a transaction, or if you just create a new transaction, you'll then be able to choose one transaction checklist. However, if this was converted from a listing into a transaction, your listing checklist would remain here. So keeping everything in one file. We've gone through what the documents tab looks like. The one thing that I do want to cover is the log tab. So as I mentioned, SkySlope started here for compliance, and we want you to be able to see any activity that has taken place. And this log tab will be both in a listing file and a transaction file. And you will have the ability to see anything that was changed, anything that was updated, a document that was added, a checklist that was updated. Any activity will be here to see. Now, as I mentioned, that property specific email, it will come through as an email here and it will have a hyperlink. So when you select on that email, you're going to be able to see exactly what email we had that property address, property specific email CC'd. And then you'll also be able to see a quick hyperlink to the attachment as well. Now, at any time, maybe you have a sale that fell through, all you need to do is select cancel transaction. And again, if this started as a listing and you select cancel transaction, it will ask, do you want to convert this back into its original listing? So rest assured, you will not lose what you had input in for the listing, even if a sale fell through. Any questions on the transaction portion of SkySlope? All right, then. The last remaining icons that I want to cover is going to be this more drop-down box that you see here. From that, you can access archives. So if you closed and archived a file, you could quickly access that icon here to quickly see those. If you canceled a contract, you could quickly hop on into this one here and view any canceled contract. Now, tasks and reminders will allow for you to set reminders for yourself. And then working documents, let me go ahead and hop on into the working documents tab. This is going to be, I want you to think of personal documents as a filing cabinet, and only you have access to this filing cabinet. So you can organize folders and files that you'd like readily available in your SkySlope account, all for only your eyes only. Now, as I mentioned, we walk through DigiSign when you're executing your forms, but let's say you're being proactive with a document that you want your client to sign and you don't have a forms file created, you don't have a listing or a transaction file created, you can still be proactive and you could select DigiSign here and you can select new envelope and no property. So what you'd be doing is you'd be sending a document out for signature, and you might be thinking, well, if our client signs that document, if it doesn't have a forms file and it doesn't have a listing or a transaction file, where is that going to be stored? And that will be stored underneath that working documents tab in your personal documents. So again, if you're being proactive, sending out a document that doesn't have a file created, if it's signed, it will land underneath the personal docs of working docs. Let's say you then create a forms file and then a listing or transaction. You could then come find that document that you were proactive with, select the empty box here on the left-hand side, and then select assign. When you select assign, you can quickly assign it to a file, and then you would be good to go. Now, the last thing that I want to cover is how to set up your profile for SkySlope Suite. So my account, this is where you can set your personal information. If your phone number, email address changes, this is where you'd go to update it. And then the one thing that I do like to emphasize on is the notifications tab. This is a great way for you to go through and enable how you want to be notified. Email me if a listing passes the expiration date. You could toggle these on, of course, just making sure that you select save. That covers pretty much everything that I wanted to cover here today. I know I did a lot of talking. I know that we covered quite a few things. If I can leave you with anything, it is just to please feel free to take advantage of our support team. They are super knowledgeable. I can tell you, I go to them every single day. They are, very technical. And again, they are available around the clock. So please, if you can leave with anything today, it is just to always feel the support of them and to reach out to them. But I know I didn't really have any questions throughout. Feel free to unmute yourselves. If you guys have any questions, put it into the chat. But I will leave the last remaining time here to see if there are any questions here for me.
Well, you've given me a good start, so I appreciate the help.
Yeah, of course, Bill. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sean, if you
I'm
need to
sure,
add,
I'm sure I'll have a million questions. I'm sorry.
no, you're okay. Again, Bill, just feel free to go to support. They can answer every single question that you have. Sean, to add a document, again, that's just going to be in the Documents tab here. And then you can upload a document or you can email it in just as we did in the demo for the property specific email. All right, then, if there are no other questions, I will let you all go. Again, thank you all for taking the time to learn more about the agent workflow here within SkySlope. I will be sharing this recording with your team and they'll be able to send it out to you. But again, please contact support if you have any questions. Thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you again.
Yeah, thank you, Bill. Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.